What's up, guys? Thanks for clicking on my video. Sorry about the clickbait. Anyways, today I want to talk about my Panasonic P55 ST50 plasma display TV. I want to talk about why I got it and why you may also want one. I can't recommend any other specific TVs for gaming as I only have experience with this one, but I recommend an ST50 if you can find one. Shout out DreamRoom64 as he recommended the ST50 to me originally, and it's exactly what I was looking for. And I have a few things to go through about plasma TVs and how they compare to OLED and LCD TVs, and where this type of TV is best used today in 2025. I'm not an expert by any means, so if I say something wrong, please correct me in the comments and I'll make a pinned comment with all the corrections. Also, a note, I did not spend much time calibrating my camera to perfectly record this TV, so it will not look like it does in person. The screen door-like effect you are seeing is not present in real life, and I only noticed this after recording all the footage. These things are just hard to record. The first point I want to get into is by far the best attribute about plasmas, and that's the really good motion clarity of plasma displays. Due to how plasma TVs display an image, the perceived motion clarity is way better than OLED or LCDs. The average plasma TV flickers on and off at a frequency of 600 times per second or 600 hertz. That's 10 times per frame at 60 frames per second. The shorter the frame persists on the screen, the less motion blur your eyes will perceive. Both LCDs and OLEDs hold the frame for the full frame time, and this is called sample and hold, and that's what creates that motion blur. OLEDs, however, can use a technique called black frame insertion to flicker frames similar to a plasma and produce an excellent motion clarity as well, but this does come at the cost of lowering your screen brightness. As you can see here, even in motion, the details of the little alien guy and his ship are very sharp. This test is running at a speed of 480 pixels a second as he goes across the screen, but I recommend you try this yourself on an LCD or an OLED if you have one at home and see what it looks like to you, and if you have a plasma TV, go ahead and compare it to that and see if you can see the difference. My ST50 is even better than your average plasma in motion clarity. Panasonic's proprietary technology called Focus Field Drive has been implemented into mine, and I don't understand entirely how it works, but I do know that the technology makes the motion clarity even better as this screen flickers at 2500 Hz instead of 600. Plasma TVs have really amazing colors too. The vibrancy, tone, and depth of the image is something you have to see in person if you haven't seen it before. Plasma TVs use phosphors just like CRTs, but instead of using a cathode ray electron gun, you have plasma emitting UV light, causing the phosphor RGB subpixels to glow. While vibrant colors doesn't always mean color accuracy, a wide color gamut allows for your TV to be calibrated for accuracy or to your liking if you prefer vibrancy. There are some downsides to phosphor as well, and we'll get into that whenever we talk about the cons of plasma TVs. A big reason why I got a plasma TV is that I was never satisfied with the black levels on LCDs. Just like OLEDs, plasma TVs are capable of per pixel illumination, which allows for a higher contrast by having dark pixels and bright pixels at the same time and even right next to each other. OLEDs, though, do take the cake in black levels as they can turn off fully for true black, whereas most plasmas can only get so dark. The contrast improved over time as plasma technology was improved. My model, for example, has a pretty strong polarizing layer that helps a lot with the contrast. Pioneer's Curl line, though, which Curl means black, had the best black levels out of all plasmas ever made, but Curls can often have too much input lag to be viable as a gaming TV, but they're still really, really good for movies. I grew up playing the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and I still love these consoles and I still use them every single day. Um, They were released into the HD era, and games would often output 720p or 1080p resolutions. My old LCD 4K TV did a terrible job upscaling, and I'm not going to buy a RetroTink 4K or anything like that when I paid less than $200 for that TV. With that being said, the highest resolution any consumer plasma TV had was 1080p, which is perfect for 7th gen consoles and even higher. If you decide to play games from your PC, you'll also get the benefit of higher performance if you usually use a 1440p or 4K monitor. Plasmas are not only good for gaming, that's not even what they're originally meant for, because obviously it's a TV. plasmas are still amazing for Blu-rays and even DVDs, although you'll probably want a 40p plasma or good upscaling to watch DVDs. For my last point for this video, at least about why plasma TVs are good, is the current price and therefore value of these TVs. I hope I don't drive up the price at all by making this video, but it seems that people are already starting to catch on that plasmas are still really good. Plasma TVs sit somewhere between LCDs and OLEDs in picture quality in most aspects, and in my opinion, they're closer to OLED, but plasmas can be found for dirt cheap. I got this TV for around 3% of the MSRP. It's pretty insane. With a lower price than LCD, and the picture quality closer to OLED, the value in these TVs is really amazing. If you can't afford OLED, I highly recommend considering a plasma TV. Now, LCDs do have the benefit of 4K resolution and HDR, but unless you have a collection of 4K Blu-rays, you won't be fully taking advantage of your 4K display, as streaming doesn't yet have the required bitrate to stream at a full 4K quality. Cheaper LCD TVs also usually have a terrible implementation of HDR, and it's not worth turning on ever. So to get a better picture than a plasma, you'll likely have to spend 5 to 10 times the amount of money on an LCD than you would a well-kept plasma TV. I also wouldn't spend more than $200 on a plasma. I recommend you stay below that price. A lot of plasma TVs can have pretty bad input lag, so make sure you do a little research if you want to get one for gaming. Dreamroom64 has a great video testing input lag on a couple of different models. I'll link his video in the description if you want to check that out. In motion, bright objects can have a yellow and greenish ghosting effect, and this is due to slower phosphor decay times in the green subpixel. This bothered me a lot at first actually, but now it doesn't really. It's just a quirk in the technology. Due to the PWM or pulse width modulation, which switches the panel on and off to adjust brightness, there can be some perceivable flicker. I also noticed this at first, but I got used to it. For many people who are especially sensitive to flicker, this may be a deal breaker for you though. Plasma TVs in general consume a lot of power. Later models improve on this greatly, but still aren't as low as OLEDs or LCDs. Here's the power consumption of my model. Like I said earlier, these TVs max out at 1080p, but it still looks great on these TVs. 4K is still better for movies using 4K Blu-rays on an OLED, but I would still prefer a 1080p movie on a plasma over a 4K movie on a cheaper LCD. 4K is king, but plasmas are not the jester. They're like a knight or something. They're still really cool, even though they're not 4K. They look great still. As with any obsolete technology, you're only able to buy used TVs, and they come in varying conditions, and plasmas have a burn-in issue. You'll want to thoroughly test any plasma before you buy it just to be safe. My Panasonic has 12,500 hours, which isn't too bad, but you can find some with a lot more, and it's getting harder to get them repaired than it used to be. These aren't going to last forever. That means you gotta find one while you still can. That's all I gotta say about plasma TVs for today. Thanks for watching. Leave a like. See ya.